Hello, this is Eric Marshall. This is the Traffic Cop Stand-Up 1.4 for the Traffic Cop team. I'm going to go ahead and start us off. What I did last week was I worked on adding in additional components to the AI, including the throw the objects at the cop gameplay mechanic. And what I'm going to be working on this coming week is making sure that the controls integrate correctly with the various functions in order to do the traffic direction. And that'll be wiring in some raycasts, as well as consistently what I've been doing throughout this entirety of it, providing leadership, direction, getting problems found and resolved as efficiently as possible, and generally just keeping the team on course. Roadblocks that I've been dealing with are the fact that I'm having to work on my SIP simultaneously, which ended up being a lot easier for me due to all the experience with Unreal that I'm getting from working on Traffic Cop. Um, any further roadblocks? No. Our team might be going through a size fluctuation again. We might be getting more people. We might not be having the same number of people that we had before. Possibly fewer. What went really well for me this past week was the fact that instead of attempting to work actively on a build and experiment with that build, I used one of the previous builds to prototype the mechanics that I wanted to put in. And when I actually turned around and started putting in mechanics to the actual build itself, it went a lot quicker. So prototyping stuff in advance makes life a lot easier than trying to prototype it within an actual build. Okay, let's go ahead and pass it off to Brenda.
Oh no. Okay, well, this week I've been doing the walk cycle for the mail, the basic walk cycle. It's halfway finished. Things that went right for me this week, or let's start what went wrong this week. I started crashing for no reason when I was using the human IK. I thought it was a computer update. It just turns out that if you use a certain bone in the foot, it will crash. So at least it's not it's an optional toe control. So I've gotten past that. So the thing I'm most proud of this week is finding out that I could dance around that issue so I can still work on my walk-ins and animations. And what I'd be planning to do the rest of this week is, and next week I plan to start the other walk cycle, but for the rest of this week is finishing the basic walk cycle for the mail.
Okay, let's go ahead and do James.
All right, so what I did this week was began switching everything over to OpenXR. Um, we're using Magic Leap to do that, which is this headset that really takes advantage of all of the OpenXR stuff. Getting the XR pawn in there and actually getting the VR to work was trivial. It was really easy. It went really well. And I'm pretty sure that gestures right now are recognizable, though I can't really tell. And another good side note is if you're using Oculus, the system stuff to go home, get out of there, we don't even have to worry about that because it just overlays over whatever's there. We just have to be mindful and try not to use their gestures, but they're pretty intentional gestures, so we're not going to accidentally go over them. XR also has a bunch of built-in gestures, and we can make use of all of our gestures that we need to do are built in. The only thing that we're going to have to make sure is that players know to start their go with the open hand, with an open backhand, and not doing the kind of finger wave at first if we want to use one of those. Otherwise, I can look into getting like a custom gesture, but that's the only one that's not precisely handled. Now, unfortunately, and I expected this was something new, a bunch of stuff went wrong. I think I need to switch my Lumen SDK package because it switches the whole engine over to Vulkan and it's causing it to crash. I can I can play the level 3 times. It's weird, exactly 3 times, and it crashes. So there's little problems there. And then I also have to look at the hand meshing a little bit because I have something in there for hand meshing. According to the documentation, it should be working, but it's not. And that could have to do with the SDK that I'm using for that. So once that's all figured out, that's what I'm doing next. We should be able to add the gestures and their raycasts in literal minutes. And we shouldn't have to record any gestures either. Everything that we need should be right there. So some bad things, some good things. But my next thing is getting the hand meshing going, and then I'm just gonna use what we have already kind of established in the other player pawn to kind of get the gestures going. It's not going to use any of the same nodes. It's just the way that we set that up is very close to how we need to set it up for this Magic Leap OpenXR stuff. So, oh, and on another side note, just so it's in the video and everybody knows, switching over to the Magic Leap VR made the headset when you're playing in VR, it's really shaky. I don't know how to explain it, but Oculus has like this wiggle room where your head doesn't really move as much, and OpenXR has none of that. So every little twitch that you don't even know is happening with your neck is visible within the. It's visible to you. You can see it, and it really jitters your view around and everything like that. So that will have to get looked at after we get the gestures and everything functional, because I don't want players to feel sick when they're playing our game. So yeah, that's where I stand.
All right, Sammy.
Hey everyone, I'm Sammy. This week, I mostly just watched a bunch of videos to try and figure out the settings menu because I don't want to break anything continuously. But I was tinkering with it a bit while I was watching videos, so it's going okay, but I'm not confident enough to upload it just yet. After this week, though, once this week completely ends, I start my new class, so I won't be able to continue with everyone come the next week after class ends. So one of the good things for me that actually happened this week was while I was tinkering with it while watching the videos, I was actually able to somewhat figure out audio. So I'm actually really excited about that. And that's it for me.
All right, Philip.
So this week, or last week, I worked on getting the AI to move perfectly straight. And this week I was able to figure that out. It was super simple, and I can't believe I didn't find it sooner. And after figuring that out, I started working on creating another level. Since the old ones we have are prototype levels and they don't really showcase the gameplay completely and functionally. So I'm trying to get the vehicles to disappear out of the player's view rather than let the player see the vehicle disappear. And I also don't want the vehicles to loop around and come back. They need to despawn and then come out in a different area. So I've been doing that, and while creating the new level, I realized, and this is one of the problems that I had this week. I realized that some of the scripting or programming is attached to the level, so I'll have to redo that. Maybe make a blueprint for it so that you can transfer it between levels without having to rebuild it. Also, another problem is, as said previously, our team is getting smaller, so that kind of sucks. And also, a lot of the art doesn't match, so the level kind of looks funky. There's no, nothing is consistent as far as the art style goes. So making the level look how I want is kind of rough. But outside of that, I think that's everything. Everything's going pretty well.
This has been the stand-up for Traffic Cop 1.4. Thank you for your time.